Svetoslava Roskova from AIESEC, the International Association for Students, and Viktor Fachev, Human Resources Director from the company SiteGround, joined me in this episode to discuss a little bit what are the options and what you can do as a student in 2020 amid the COVID-19. Hope you enjoy it. And let's get going. Sveta.
Yes, hi. My name is Sveta. I am 21 years old, soon to graduate student in Austria. And I'm also a local head of finance in AIESEC in the Economic University of Vienna.
Okay.
So AIESEC is the biggest student-run organization in the world. So we're basically in more than 120 countries with membership around 30,000 young students. What we strive for is peace and fulfillment of humankind potential. And our mission is to develop leadership skills in all the young people. And we do that by placing these young people on leadership positions within the organization and by facilitating cross-cultural exchanges around the world. They range from social projects on the Sustainable Development Goals in United Nations and to international internships in like-minded companies, startups, and NGOs. Basically, this is a short introduction to the organization. Yeah.
Nice, nice. I think I hired somebody from AIESEC last year. Victor?
Cool. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for having me, Toufic and Sveta. My name is Victor. I graduated in 2010, and I was also an AIESECer. So plus one for that. It's been a wonderful experience, and I've been involved afterwards in the alumni community as well. So it's really a mission for life, what Sveta was saying. So I've been all over the place in Austria, Germany, the US, but I've been born and mostly spent my time here in Bulgaria. And today I am the HR director for SiteGround Hosting, which is one of the leading web hosting companies in the world for small and medium enterprises. So a very, very big Bulgarian pride for us.
Nice. Guys, the reason we're talking today is basically in business land, it's chaos. We already know it. Companies are cutting staff, but in student land, I think it's also a little bit chaos for some of the graduates that don't know what to do later and how to get practical in a world that is going to be offering less jobs, in a world that's going to be shifting competencies, that's going to be hiring some other people and something else. So maybe I can start with you, Victor, from your HR perspective. What are the things that you already see and forecast in your company that are changing, and from your experience during the financial crisis in 2008 that shaped a little bit the things also, although two crises are not really comparable in the systemics, but the effects of those crises on students, I think, were the same, where jobs were being cut and all those kind of and shifts in the education sector. So what do you see today from your side on this?
Yeah, so I think, let me start off with the financial crisis of 2008. So I was back then, on my AIESEC internship in Germany, and I was working for one of the biggest automobile components makers in Hanover. And if you remember, in 2008, one of the after the banking sector, the one that was hit the hardest was actually the automobile industry. That's
Absolutely.
when we saw all the American car makers, filing for bankruptcy. And I remember, how the tires, so we were, the division I was working for was automobile tires, and they were piling in warehouses, and we didn't know what to do. So the decision that I took back then was, after I finished my internship, was to go back in Bulgaria. And, I think that's the one thing that that I would say to people as an advice is really follow your heart. So the first and most important thing is, see where you're going to fit the best for yourself. And for some people, it might be in, abroad. For other people, might be like myself, going back home and being able to leave an impact for the community that I've been feeling closest with. Because crises, they come and go. We really had, after the 2008 2010 crisis, it basically took, I would say, 8 years to really forget about it. So I was last year in we have an office also in Madrid, and Spain was really hardly hit. Spain and Italy, they were really hardly hit by the crisis. And even last year, we were seeing that it was that was going away. So this is going to go away. First of all, stay positive. Now, the trends that we already see is, when I speak with a lot of my HR colleagues, is that hiring is shrinking, right? So it's not. You have to know that they're not so. The amount of opportunities is going down, and at the same time, the supply of candidates is higher. So if you want to be, if you really want to be a top-notch candidate, you have to position yourself very actively. And the industry, the HR industry, has really been very big on online events. Okay. And as an head of HR, I must say that these events have been really successful for us. So, go to those events, and that gives you an even better opportunity to meet one-on-one with recruiters and HR. Much better, to be honest with you, much better than what we would have at a regular career fair, because that's at an online event. You really know that this HR person is most probably talking only to you, and also the quality of candidates, to be honest with you, has been better. So our success rate of hiring people from career fairs after those events has been higher than last year. And that's because they're really focused. So what I would say to the guys is, focus on what you feel on your on as a priority for you, and where you see your land yourself, and go and look for opportunities to engage with the hiring professionals. I don't know, that was kind of it was a big question, so you got a big answer as well. I hope it was helpful.
No, it is indeed. The idea, if you want, is to I'm in the event industry, right? And so it's a people's business, and all the exhibitions are stopped now, and all the events are stopped because we're not talking to each other anymore, and we're confined, and we're avoiding physical contact. But again, this is not a viable business model for humanity, not to communicate, to wear masks and not to touch anything, and to stay outside. That's not a viable business model for humanity. Sveta, how do you see the gap? When we spoke, I think, a couple of times, how do you see the gap between what the market has to offer in terms of jobs and as universities are doing, and how do you think these things can cooperate?
Yeah, well, I have this general opinion that right now the education doesn't prepare us for the actual needs and trends of the business world, right?
Okay.
So it gives us the fundamental knowledge, and mainly I think the only great value that university is giving us is just the ability to work with different personalities, okay, with different backgrounds and so on. But indeed, it doesn't prepare us for the specific things that are required in the companies. And so, for example, now what I can see is already companies are looking for change management skills, flexibility, adaptability. And right now this label, like before, it was put on these roles labels and study degrees were put on pedestal. And right now they're completely irrelevant. So if you can adapt, if you can provide, creativity, imagination, right now, this is what companies need, in my opinion. So indeed, the gap is great, but you gotta create what you gotta create, and I think this is the main differentiator for students.
Okay.
Who are graduating.
Okay, and so let's bounce back then on this. What do you think both of you, and I think we can start with Sveta maybe, but what do you think are the skills today that students, for example, that are just in the middle, because graduates now, they already studied for 3, 4, 5 years, and they're going to go into the business world, and they're going to have to adapt to the way they want. But somebody who's, for example, first year, second year, bachelor's degree, and considering a master's degree. You see what I mean? What are the skills that you think should be pushed for the future, and what are the things that you guys foresee as the next jobs for the next 10 to 20 years, let's see?
Well, if I have to state the obvious, right now the coding skills, so all the software engineers, the programmers, the developers, they'll be always in demand. So I see a lot of students now right now shifting studies and going into IT direction, right? Also what I see is that right now businesses are reshaping the business model, so taking what they do and do it online. So the digital marketing is also going to be a skill set that is going to be very valuable. And then when there are so many things on online happening, the thing that is going to differentiate it, I think, is the copywriting and the, you know, these content marketing abilities of people to express and, you know, to touch the people through a computer or a mobile. Another thing, and I think this is very crucial, is the interpersonal skills. I mean, for example, emotional intelligence, because right now, in a world where we don't know what is happening, right? A person who is in a stable state of mind, who knows when to push and when to back off and understand, is the thing that is gonna keep things together and keep moving, actually. So I think these are really the skills that people should focus on in order to be valuable for the businesses.
All right. Victor, what do you got on your side? What are you hiring on your side? What are the skills that you'll be looking for?
Yeah, so yes. Right. So so just you know, for us, as a web hosting company, what we did first of all is, you know, make sure to help the community, because that's really in the DNA of SiteGround, of the company that I work for, is care for our clients, care for our people, and care for the community. So you know, we launched a campaign where we have people can start their web hosting at almost for free. It's basically, I think, €1 for like three months, or per month, but in order to help that. So, you know, expanding on that, what is going to be crucial for the future is, or at least short term for the situation, is to create a sense of community and a sense of you know, not social distancing, but just physical distancing. So I think that's going to be the skill, is that, you know, we still, as employers, we have to stay connected with our people, even though we're not physically together. And also for businesses, you know, even if they create an experience, they have the strong ones are going to be the ones that are able to create that experience for their customers, even though they're not seeing them in place. So, you know, that means, like what Sveta said, just shifting to online, or enhancing that entire experience. And I think that's, you know, we've seen that in many businesses. What we specifically continue to hire for is a lot of, because we're an IT company,
of course,
we're hiring DevOps and developers. That's not going to end, because we have to enhance on that. But we're also looking for, you know, for that skill set of how can we, you know, bring that to the other level. So that's also what people have to think now, is what new skill, like if you were the businesses that are suffering the most right now are, of course, restaurants and hospitality. And you know, if I was, and that's where we see the biggest layoffs right now, unfortunately. I hope it's short term. Like you said, I don't imagine that from now on we are not going to communicate at all. But, you know, the people who are right now affected by that should think, what skill can I develop in this time, and what skill can I have so that I can adapt to this reality? So it could be, you know, I've seen, you know, people who are doing UI, UX courses, or people who are, you know, doing video, or developers. But we have to think about that, you know, how can we sustain the sense of a community, even though we are farther apart from each other.
What do you see? The advantages are basically clear, but what do you see as challenges to online education, whether it's for students, Sveta, on your side, and whether it's for what would a company look for would you, as a company, Victor, take I'll start with you, Victor, maybe. Would you take, as a company, an online course as serious as you take a university degree, a traditional university degree? That's a question all students are asking.
Well, we've always hired, and I'm not speaking just for my experience as a head of HR for an IT company. I'm speaking also from the other industries, pharma and retail, where I worked for before, BPO. So I've never hired because of a diploma. I've always selected a candidate because of a skill. So
Okay.
I've seen candidates that have went to Ivy League schools, and their level of competence for the specific skill that we're assessing has been very, very low. Where at the same time, you see, especially in the IT competences, you see people who have been self-taught and they have managed to achieve more. So for sure, there's a lot of amazing online educational institutions, and I'm not dismissing the fact that a diploma or a certificate is going to help you, because a lot of these courses are great. We as a company are right now exploring different platforms that we can offer for our employees to help them be better in what they do. But it's not a diploma, it's what you can do with it. So the biggest, depending on the certificate on the skill that you're assessing, I'm not going to look for the certificate. I might look for your portfolio on GitHub, or I might look for a successful project that you have done. It doesn't matter if you have just done the course. My answer is yes, but make it practical. That's what is important.
The general opinion about this online education is rather negative than positive.
Okay.
Indeed, it's more accessible, and you don't have to put your parents in a position of working 3 jobs at the same time in order to support you financially abroad. And you have the benefit of creating your own learning environment, because as we know, people learn differently. So if you learn better at home or around nature, it's up to you. You are free to do it on your own. But if I have to be completely honest, chances are there is no way you can focus as good as you can focus when you're present at the lecture physically, especially when you can watch it later, especially when the attendance is not mandatory. You always find something better to do. And as we know, students are postponing until the end, and what is happening is we're just super stressful with all the exams. But the biggest concern of me, and I already feel it, is, as you said, we're just bombarded with opportunities right now. So we just do a couple of things at the same time, just for the sake of adding things to our CV, or because we see that so many great universities or companies are providing online education. So what is happening right now is that we do a couple of things at the same time. We think that if we keep it busy, then we're effective. But if we look at the bigger pictures, this is a huge problem, I believe. Yes, another thing, in AIESEC, one of the other core activities that we do are online, not online, but conferences, like national and international conferences, where we gather to network with our partners, or we provide educational spaces for the students. And last weekend, I attended an online conference, and in terms of logistics and in content, it was perfect, right? But the thing is, you miss the human connection. And this is, as I said, the most valuable in university. You just don't, it's not the same to work with people at together physically, and then, through a phone when you can answer a couple of hours later or whatever. It's just not the same. And this is a skill that is needed in the future. And if you are not provided with this, there is no way to learn. We learn through experience, and the online education is not giving this opportunity.
Now that we've covered basically the future of work, then how companies are adapting, and then how online education is basically shifting the way we consume information, what do you think comes, and what you said, Sveta, makes us bounce back on this? What do you think regarding the mental health of employees? What do you think regarding how should companies support employees?
I think Victor has obviously a better experience in this, in terms of how to support employees.
Yeah.
But I would say that what we can learn from this experience is really to act on the right values, you know, kindness,
Okay.
accountability, respect,
Yeah.
courage. So I think the game changer thing in the context of students is for companies, students, and universities to come together and build the future of education together. You know, whether this is going to be partnerships with between companies and universities in terms of providing extracurriculum activities where they prepare the student for the actual needs of the company.
Yeah,
Whether this is going to be
internships,
a mentorship.
installments. Yeah.
Yeah, whether this is going to be, and you mentioned the mental health. So I think another cool idea is mentorship program organized by the companies to students, you know. So
Mm.
there's many things, and I think right now this is a problem that shouldn't be a problem in the 21st century.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Victor, now
it,
you're challenged by a student who tells you that we're challenged by a student who's telling us that we're not doing our job correctly, contacting the, so.
Well, it's, you know, I think that, you know, internship programs are you know, are great, and at the same time, you know, a lot of employers undervalue them. And then, you know, on your question regarding what employers can do for the mental health for employees. So you know, a lot of companies had shifted before for a, you know, remote type of work or dispersed type of work. So this is not something new.
Yeah.
It's been coming and going, coming and going. So you know, what we see as the most important aspect right now is the one-on-one communication. So we have to make sure that we touch base with our employees, with our teams, that we give them the sense and direction that they need in order to be effective in their job, and in order to, you know, to know what's really going on.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
Understood.
Some initiatives that we have launched as employers is the first thing that we did was enhance communication. So, you know, the company that I work for, we transparency is very big for us. So we immediately started doing company-wide webcasts. Then this is something that we've never done before, because our culture is a very personal, face-to-face interaction. So we started doing that regularly. Then I've been leading meetings with the team leaders every week. So you know, we're a little bit over 530 employees. So
Okay.
that's been super important to understand what's going on in each one of the teams. How are people feeling? Yeah. Anything that we need to raise, you know, give feedback about, get feedback about initiatives that we're doing, and also get new ideas. And then, you know, what has really helped us is you know, to launch games, because, you know, games are a great way to relax, you know, to foster creativity, and also to work as a team. So we had a lot of those, you know, board games or you know, computer games that we were doing before. Now we moved it online, and we make sure that we spend time together. We created channels outside of Slack and Google Hangouts and Zoom, where we interact really on a people level within the company, so that, you know, people are still stuck behind their screen. You know, this is the reality that we cannot escape from. But let's create an informal and, you know, way that we can say, okay, this is Facebook, so this is not for work. I'm talking with my colleagues, but it's just fun. Okay. And we recently launched an entire wellness program where we speak about financial wellness. So, you know, how can you you know, manage your finances right now, for people who also want to invest. What are different instruments? We also have spiritual, which is like yoga, mindfulness sessions. And we also did launch an emotional wellness part, where we lead with a psychotherapist. You know, we have workshops and also one-to-one sessions that we offer for our employees, because it's a proven fact that, you know, after a month in a lockdown, it does, you know, get very, very heavy on the emotions, so that we offer that help. And, you know, we have thought about it in the past before, because a lot of our people work in customer care. So it is something that employers typically do. But this was like the trigger point. Okay, let's do it, and it's been going so far so great. But the most important thing for managers is going to be to learn how to engage with your employees on a one-to-one level. And for employees, my advice is communicate. There is no, don't have the fear of over communication right now. That's what I always tell on my team. Let me know what you're doing. Where is that thing? Because the silence, that's when there's too much silence, that's when it starts to get funny and scary. So communicate, over communicate. It's okay.
Yeah. I think the communication that you're touching on is also tricky because it doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. And I think what extroverts are dealing with and personality types are dealing with is now they have to be able to look into their selves sometimes, right? And they don't, because they look at the outside world. And introverts are having to just get out of the person that they see in the mirror every day, right? And so that's by definition, that's not your comfort zone. And so when you're not in your comfort zone, you are operating under fear, you're making mistakes, you're facing some judgmental analysis of your thoughts because you're judging yourself first. And so I think that will be very exciting times to learn. Honestly, if companies do what you're saying, what you guys are doing is really amazing. And I think if other companies would do that, is just by putting life skills in the sentence. It's not enough that you're a top one coder. It's not enough that you're a top one finance manager. It's not enough that you're a top one salesperson. If you are not a person that can work with other people, then you have to learn that skill, because that's going to be something. And a lot of companies fail because all they have is superstars that are just obnoxious pricks that are very selfish. And a lot of companies succeed by having the second or the third or the fourth best salesperson, but that's a very great guy to work with. And basically he just drives his team, and the company goes forward. Sveta, we're talking about a lot of things that the generation that you are in, without wanting to patronize you. You guys are born with technology, and boys your age don't even know how to ignite a communication on a one-to-one level over beer. Let me send you my text on Messenger. That's the observation. So how do you think your generation can do that? How do you think your generation can deal with this?
Well, I generally have a different opinion. Yes, indeed, we use more technology and we also use a lot of social media to communicate. But I think, first of all, it depends on the person, of course. But as you said, we grew up keeping up with the pace of change and innovation. And I think this developed in us this sense of solution-oriented mind. I think the great thing about us is that we are really flexible and adaptable. And we can see that right now a lot of young people are just stepping up, speaking up, fighting for what they believe in, right? And this is something new. We didn't see that before, because there was a single pattern. For example, you do a couple of study degrees, then you go in the big four consultancy spaces. Right now, we want to create, we want to put our ideas on the table. We want to be part of the process. And I think businesses will miss a lot of energy if they decide to recruit only experienced people and don't let the young folks to bring this, fight inside. So I think it should be balanced. I think we bring sense of exactly this energy that is very needed right now. And I think communication skills are also something like, it's a fundamental skill, but it can be developed in everyone as much as leadership and any other thing.
Yeah, we're living in this wondering, and we don't know what's going to happen immediately. What do you think, in your opinion, the first 2-3 things you're going to observe in your team when people get back to work, actually, when all the lockdowns or when the frontiers are open? And
so I think, first of all, I think there's a long time before we do that. So we shouldn't rush. We all miss the office, when I had to go to the office the last 2 months for I think 3 times in total, and I've been every time super excited about it. It's like going to, you know, to the beach basically. But you know, we shouldn't rush for that. So that's my first, you know, first thing is, you know, take it easy. We you know, we don't want the second wave, and you know, because we've seen that happen, you know, in time before. And usually the second wave is even harder. So considering that, you know, we have to see what is going to be the effect. But I think the first you know, the first interaction that I already feel is that face-to-face communication changed. So people don't shake hands, they don't hug and kiss so much anymore, which for an introvert is great. Extroverts are taking a toll on that. Yeah. You know, so we're going to need more space, and people are, you know, some great lessons that we've learned so far during this lockdown is, hey, this meeting could be an email. So people are really prioritizing meetings, and, you know, are being really cautious of each other's time, because the fact that you know, that we're sitting right now, that means that, you know, kids are not being attended or anything. So people are really cautious of each other's time, and that's going to be you know, going to be very important for the future as well. And what Sveta was saying about the communication skill, spot on. So this is going to be the skill for the future, and being able to track, you know, to feel that emotional intelligence to what about really what is going on. And finally, you know, we've all learned we can work from a distance if we all do it. So, you know, I'm sure that this is not going to be the new normal. So I hope sooner rather than later, we are going to come back together, because it does not work if part of the people are in the office and part of the people are at home. It works either if everybody is in the office and everybody is at home. So, you know, don't stay positive. Don't worry. These too shall pass.
Yeah, well, I was advised by many people to stay in university, take another study, and go back in the market, in the recovering market, right?
Okay.
But what I would advise people is, if you can afford it, go work for a startup or an NGO that is currently facing a lot of problems and is trying to keep up and survive, right? Go approach people, ask how you can help. This is a way for you to develop the most. You might be the hero over there. That's one. And second of all, if you have to support yourself financially, go find any job. It doesn't have to be the job that you were studying for 4 years. It doesn't have to be the job that you were dreaming of. Take any job and just look at it as a way to explore new passion, right? And here I remember in Mark Manson, in his book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, in his chapter, he was telling the readers, I was lucky to graduate back in 2007 when, you know, entering the worst possible job market since like 80 years, because I entered the adult world already a failure. So I started from the bottom. There is nothing to lose. And so right now you have the decision to take whether you want to put this business idea into practice, whether you want to change careers, whether you want to go live in that country. You don't lose anything. You start from zero, and this is opportunity, this decision is much harder to take when everything is stable, when you already have this steady income. So just use it wisely, create what you gotta create, and just bring your value into all this.
Guys, thank you so much. It was a great talk.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope it brought you some value. If you would like to engage, please leave a comment in the comment section. You can also click the subscribe button and activate notification to receive the updates on this channel.